I thought love meant sacrifice. I thought it meant putting someone else first, even when it cost you everything. For 3 years, I believed that building a future together meant carrying her weight while she chased her dreams. But on a random Thursday evening, 60 seconds of viral video taught me the difference between partnership and parasitism. My girlfriend mocked my budgeting habits on TikTok for CLOUT, never mentioning I was secretly paying off her $20,000 credit card debt. That video changed everything. Before I tell you how I discovered my girlfriend's true colors through her phone screen, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching this from. And if you have ever been blindsided by someone you trusted completely, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story might feel painfully familiar. Now let me take you back to the moment my carefully constructed world came crashing down around me. My name is Jerome. I am 28 years old, and I work as a software developer here in Austin, Texas. I make around $95,000 a year, which sounds like a lot until you factor in rent, student loans, and the cost of living in a city where everyone seems to be moving. I've always been careful with money. My parents taught me early that financial security does not happen by accident. You plan for it. You budget for it. You make choices. 3 years ago, I met Amber at a coffee shop in downtown Austin. She was 23 then, working in marketing for a small startup, and she had this energy that just pulled you in. Bright smile, constant laughter, always talking about her dreams of becoming an influencer. She wanted to build something online, create content that resonated with people, maybe even turn it into a full-time career. I loved that about her. She had ambition. She had vision. We started dating, and within a year, we moved in together. Amber made around $42,000 annually, which was decent for her field and experience level. But she spent money like someone making 3 times that amount. Designer clothes, high-end makeup, ring lights, camera equipment, editing software subscriptions. Everything was an investment in her TikTok career, she would say. And I believed her. I supported her dreams because that is what you do when you love someone. Right, our apartment was nice. 2 bedrooms in a complex near the Domain. The lease was in my name because my credit score was better. I covered most of the rent, about 70%, which came out to roughly $1,400 of the $2,000 monthly payment. Amber covered utilities and groceries, though I noticed I was often the one actually buying groceries while she ordered takeout. Still, I did not complain. We were building something together. Or so I thought. Weekend trips to Fredericksburg. Dinner dates at new restaurants she wanted to try for content. Plans for the future that always felt just out of reach but exciting nonetheless. Amber would talk about how once her TikTok took off, she would contribute more financially. She would help save for a house, maybe even cover some of my student loans. I never asked her to do any of that. I just wanted her to be happy. I wanted us to be happy. 6 months before everything fell apart, I made a discovery that should have been my wake-up call. I came home from work early one afternoon. Amber was out filming content somewhere, and I noticed an envelope on our kitchen table. It was already open, just sitting there among the usual clutter of mail and Amazon boxes. I picked it up without thinking much of it. It was a credit card statement. The number at the top made my stomach drop. $20,347. The minimum payment due was $612. The interest rate was 23.99%. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, just staring at that number, trying to process how someone could accumulate that much debt. When Amber came home that evening, I asked her about it. I tried to keep my voice neutral, non-judgmental, but my hands were shaking. She saw the statement in my hand and just started crying immediately. Not angry crying, defeated crying. She collapsed onto our couch and told me everything. Most of the debt came from her TikTok expenses. Outfits for videos that needed to look fresh and trendy. Accessories that only appeared in 1 or 2 posts. Camera gear upgrades because the algorithm supposedly favored higher quality content. She had been making minimum payments for over a year, but with that interest rate, the balance barely moved. Every month, another $400 in interest piled on top of what she already owed. She promised she would cut back. She promised she would create a budget and stick to it. She swore she would stop buying things she did not absolutely need. And I wanted to believe her. So I made a decision that I thought was generous and loving. I told her I would help pay down the debt. $500 a month transferred directly to her credit card. It would take 3.5 years to pay off completely, but at least we would be making real progress. Amber was so grateful. She hugged me tight, told me I was saving her life, that she did not deserve me. She agreed to my one condition. She had to follow a budget. No more unnecessary purchases. No more $500 hauls from boutiques downtown. We would get through this together, and then we could really start building our future. For the first month, things seemed better. Amber actually opened up the budgeting app I recommended. She logged her expenses. She seemed committed. But by month 2, I started noticing things. Packages arriving at our door almost daily. New shopping bags in the closet. When I asked about them, she had explanations ready. The dress was on sale, too good to pass up. The shoes were for a specific video concept that would definitely go viral. The new ring light was necessary because her old one was not bright enough. I felt the first real pangs of resentment during this time, though I pushed them down. I had started cutting my own expenses drastically to afford that $500 monthly payment. I canceled my gym membership, which had cost $79 a month. I stopped going out to lunch with coworkers, packing sad sandwiches from home instead. I did not buy new clothes for myself. I did not upgrade my own phone even though the battery was dying. I stopped suggesting date nights because they always cost money we apparently did not have. My friend Marcus noticed. We met for drinks one evening, something I rarely did anymore because even a beer felt like a splurge. He looked at me across the table and said, I looked exhausted. Not just tired, exhausted, worn down. I brushed it off, told him I was just saving aggressively for the future. He gave me this look like he did not quite believe me, but he did not push it. Meanwhile, Amber's TikTok was growing. Not massively, but steadily. She had about 48,000 followers at that point. Her videos would get anywhere from 5,000 to 20,000 views. Occasionally, one would break 50,000. She was obsessed with the metrics, constantly checking her phone, refreshing her notifications, reading every comment. Some nights I would suggest we watch a movie together, and she would agree but spend the entire time on her phone, barely looking at the screen. One night, I planned a date. Nothing fancy, just dinner at this Italian place we used to love when we first started dating. I made a reservation, even bought a new shirt for the occasion because I wanted to feel good, wanted us to feel like us again. When I told Amber about it that morning, she seemed excited. But when I got home from work that evening, ready to leave, she was in the middle of filming. She had set up her ring lights in the living room. She was wearing a new outfit I had never seen before. And she looked at me like I was interrupting something important. She said she needed another hour, maybe 2, to get the content she needed. The light was perfect right now. Could we reschedule? I said sure. I always said sure. I changed out of my new shirt, canceled the reservation, and ordered pizza instead. We ate in silence while she edited her video. That was the night I realized I had become secondary in my own relationship. But I still did not say anything. I still did not want to be the boyfriend who stood in the way of her dreams. The Thursday, it all came apart, started like any other day. I was working from home, which I did twice a week. My desk was set up in our second bedroom, the one we called an office, but was really just a storage space with a desk shoved against one wall. I was deep in code fixing a bug that had been frustrating me for days when my phone started vibrating. At first I ignored it. Probably just spam calls. But it kept going. Buzz, buzz, buzz. I glanced at the screen and saw text notifications. Multiple messages from Marcus. 2 from my coworker David. 1 from my cousin Stephanie, who I had not talked to in months. Then a few more from people whose names made me realize something was very wrong. I picked up my phone and saw they were all sending me the same thing. a link to a TikTok video. Marcus's message just said, "Bro, you need to see this." David's said, "Is this about you?" I clicked the link with a sense of dread I cannot fully explain. The video opened with Amber sitting in her car. Our car, technically. The Honda Civic. I had been making payments on for the past 2 years. She was in the driver's seat, phone propped up on the dashboard, and she was filming herself with that specific expression she used when she was about to say something she thought was clever. Slightly raised eyebrow. Little smirk. The look that said she was in on a joke you were not. She held up a grocery receipt. I recognized it immediately. It was from my last shopping trip to HEB. The total was $12.37. Ramen noodles, eggs, bread, peanut butter. Basics. Cheap basics. Her voice came through my phone speakers, upbeat and mocking. Point of view. Your boyfriend lectures you about buying a $12 face mask but has a full spreadsheet for his ramen budget. The video cut to another angle. She had zoomed in on my laptop screen. My budget spreadsheet. The one I kept meticulously updated with every expense, every saving goal, every payment I made. She had filmed it without my knowledge, probably when I left my laptop open one day. The spreadsheet showed my grocery budget, $20 per week. It showed my entertainment budget, $50 per month. It showed every painful cut I had made to afford our life together. Text appeared on the screen in big white letters. Imagine being this cheap when you make 6 figures. The video ended with Amber doing this exaggerated eye roll and waving her hand dismissively. The view count at the bottom made me feel sick. 340,000 views, 28,000 likes, over 2,000 comments. I clicked on the comment section, and that was when the knife really twisted. The top comment, with 6,000 likes of its own, said, "Girl, dump him and find someone who actually lives a little." Another one said, "6 figures and budgeting ramen, red flag energy. This man is going to make you split the bill at your own birthday dinner. Run." Imagine being with someone who values spreadsheets more than experiences. Life is too short. I scrolled and scrolled. Hundreds of people I had never met, would never meet, were mocking me. They were making assumptions about my character, my values, my worth as a partner. They had no idea that my ramen budget existed because I was paying off $20,000 of debt that was not even mine. They had no idea that my cheap grocery trips funded her designer clothing hauls. They had no idea about any of it. And Amber had made sure of that. I sat at my desk phone in my hand and felt something shift inside me. Not anger yet. Something colder, clearer. It was like watching a puzzle piece finally click into place and realizing the picture it created was not what you thought you were building at all. I stood up and walked to the bedroom. Amber was lying on our bed scrolling through her phone, probably reading the comments on her viral video. She did not even look up when I walked in. "I saw your video," I said. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Too calm. Too steady. She glanced up, and for a second I thought I saw something like guilt flash across her face. But it was gone, instantly replaced by that same smirk from the video. "Oh, come on, Jerome. It is just a joke. Do not be so sensitive. You filmed my personal budget without my permission and posted it for hundreds of thousands of people to mock. How is that a joke?" She sat up, phone still in her hand. It got engagement. That is what matters in content creation. Besides, you do have a ridiculous budget. $20 for groceries per week. That is embarrassing. Of course, people are going to comment on it. I felt the anger then. It came up hot and fast, tightening my chest. "You know why I budget like that?" She shrugged. "Because you are cheap." "No. Because I am paying your $20,000 credit card debt." The words hung in the air between us. I watched her face go pale. Her mouth opened, then closed. The confidence drained out of her posture. "Every single month," I continued, my voice getting louder, "I put $500 toward your debt. Your debt that you racked up buying things you did not need. While you were doing that, I cut every possible expense from my own life. I canceled my gym membership. I stopped going out. I wear the same 6 shirts on rotation because I cannot afford new clothes. I pack peanut butter sandwiches for lunch every single day. And you know what? I did not complain. I did not resent you for it. I did it because I thought we were building something together. Amber tried to speak. I never asked you to. You cried and begged me to help. I cut her off. You sat on that couch 6 months ago and told me you were drowning. You promised you would cut back on spending. You promised you would stick to a budget. But instead of appreciating what I was sacrificing for you, you turned my financial responsibility into content. You mocked me for internet clout. She scrambled off the bed, hands up in a placating gesture. Babe, I will delete the video right now. I am sorry. I did not think it would blow up like that. I did not think you would be upset. It has 340,000 views, Amber. Over 2,000 comments calling me cheap controlling a red flag. How did you think I would feel? I will post an apology. I will explain everything. Just please do not be mad. But I was not mad anymore. I was done. The clarity that had started in my office had fully crystallized into a decision I should have made months ago, maybe even years ago. I am not mad, I said quietly. I am done. We are done. Her face went from pale to white. What, you cannot just break up with me over a video. It is not about the video. It is about respect. You do not respect me. You do not respect the sacrifices I have made. You do not respect our relationship. And honestly, I do not think you ever did. I walked over to my desk in the corner of the bedroom and opened my laptop. My banking app was already logged in. I navigated to my recurring payments and found the automatic transfer. $500 set to process on the 1st of every month going directly to Amber's credit card account. I clicked cancel. Then I confirmed the cancellation. Amber must have seen what I was doing because she rushed over. Jerome, please, you cannot do this. I need that payment. My credit will tank without it. That is your problem now. You are an adult. You made these choices. You can figure out how to handle the consequences. Her shock was turning into panic. Real panic. Where will I live? This is my apartment too. The lease is in my name, only my name. I will give you 2 weeks to find another place. That is more than fair. The panic morphed into anger. She started yelling. You cannot just kick me out. I will sue you. This is illegal. Sue me for what exactly? Stopping voluntary payments on your debt? Feel free to consult a lawyer. I am sure they will tell you the same thing I am telling you right now. You are not entitled to my money. She tried everything in the next 15 minutes. Crying, pleading, threatening, bargaining. She told me I was abandoning her. She told me I was cruel. She told me she would tell everyone what kind of person I really was. I just stood there, arms crossed, and let her exhaust herself. When she finally stopped talking, I said one more thing. You have 2 weeks. I suggest you start packing. She grabbed her purse and her phone and stormed out of the apartment. The door slam echoed through the empty space. I stood in the bedroom for a long time after that, just breathing. I did not feel victorious. I did not feel relieved. I felt tired. So incredibly tired. Over the next few days, I started boxing up Amber's belongings. It was sobering to see how much stuff she had accumulated. The closet was packed with clothes, most of them with tags still attached. In the corner of the living room, I found 3 brand new ring lights still in their boxes, a gimbal that had never been opened, a microphone setup that cost at least $800 judging by the brand. Every item was a reminder of money spent while I scraped by on ramen and peanut butter. Amber did not come back to the apartment. She texted me once asking if she could come get her things. I told her I would be at work the next day and she could use her key. When I got home that evening, half her stuff was gone, but the apartment still felt full of her. It took me 3 more days to pack up the rest and leave it in boxes by the door. My phone became a war zone. Amber sent 47 text messages in a single day. They started apologetic. "I am so sorry. I made a mistake." "Please, give me another chance." Then they turned desperate. "You are abandoning me when I need you most. I thought you loved me." Then they became manipulative. "Everyone is going to know what kind of person you are. I will make sure of it." Finally, they turned mean. "You were never good enough for me anyway. Have fun being alone." I blocked her number, changed my communication with her to email only and only for logistics about moving out. She had until the end of the 2 weeks. After that, I would change the locks. Friends started reaching out, our mutual friends, people who had been at dinners and parties and game nights with us. The group split pretty predictably. Some people supported me. Marcus was the first to call. "Dude, she disrespected you publicly. You did the right thing. You do not owe her anything." My coworker David agreed. "That was messed up what she did. You were helping her and she threw it in your face." But others criticized my decision. Sarah, one of Amber's close friends, sent me a long message about how I was overreacting. "It is just social media. It does not mean anything. You are throwing away 3 years over a silly video." Another mutual friend, Kevin, suggested I was being too harsh. "Maybe you should have talked to her first instead of just ending things." I did not argue with anyone. I did not explain further. I just responded with some version of, "You do not know the full story. I appreciate your concern, but my decision is final." 1 week after the breakup, Amber posted another TikTok video. Someone tagged me in it before I had a chance to see it organically. This one had a very different tone. Amber was sitting in what looked like her friend's apartment makeup smudged eyes red from crying. She was wearing an oversized sweatshirt and had her hair pulled back in a messy bun. The video was captioned, "When your ex shows his true colors." She started talking directly to the camera, voice shaking. "I just want to address what has been happening this past week. I was in a relationship for 3 years with someone I thought loved me. But the moment I tried to pursue my dreams, the moment I wanted to create content and build something for myself, he could not handle it. He was controlling. He monitored every dollar I spent. He made me feel guilty for wanting to invest in my career." She paused, wiping her eyes. "And when I finally stood up for myself, when I called out his behavior, he left me. Just like that. He kicked me out of our apartment. He cut me off financially. He abandoned me when I needed him most because he could not handle being with a strong, independent woman who knew her worth." The video ended with her looking directly into the camera, expression somewhere between sad and defiant. "If you are in a relationship with someone who tries to control you through money, please know that is not love. You deserve better." This video went even more viral than the first one. 680,000 views within 24 hours. The comment section was initially sympathetic. "You dodged a bullet, queen. Financial abuse is real, and this is what it looks like. I'm so sorry you went through this. You deserve so much better." I did not watch the video until Marcus sent it to me with a message that just said, "This is wild." When I finally did watch it, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Anger that she was lying, sadness that our relationship had come to this. But mostly, I felt vindicated in my decision. This was who she really was. Someone who would twist the truth, play the victim, manipulate a narrative to avoid accountability. I did not respond publicly. I did not make my own video. I did not try to defend myself in her comment section. I just went about my life and trusted that the truth would eventually surface. And it did, though not in a way I expected. Travis, one of my coworkers, had been following the whole situation. He had seen both videos. He knew me well enough to know that Amber's portrayal did not match reality. Travis is not the type to usually get involved in drama, but something about the second video bothered him enough that he decided to speak up. He left a long comment on Amber's video. "I work with Jerome. I have known him for 3 years. And I need to say something here because this narrative is completely false. Jerome was not controlling. He was paying off your credit card debt, $20,000 of your debt. He was putting $500 a month toward it while cutting his own expenses to nothing. You mocked him publicly in your first video for having a budget that existed because he was covering your financial mistakes. And now you are calling him controlling and abusive. That is gaslighting. That is manipulation. He did not abandon you. He set a boundary after you disrespected him publicly. Travis included a screenshot of Amber's original mocking video with his comment. He highlighted the text where she called Jerome cheap for making 6 figures. His comment got attention fast. Really fast. Within hours, it had been upvoted to the top of the comment section. People started responding to it. Wait, so she was in debt and he was helping her pay it off. She mocked him for budgeting while he was covering her expenses. This completely changes the story. Other people started digging. Internet sleuths are relentless when they want to be. Someone went through Amber's old videos and compiled clips of her showing off expensive purchases, designer handbags, new outfits every week, high-end makeup hauls, restaurant check-ins. Someone else did the math. She spent more on one designer purse than Jerome budgeted for groceries in 2 months, and he was the one paying her debt. This is insane. The tide turned completely. The new top comment on her video read, "Imagine biting the hand that feeds you, then calling that hand abusive when it stops feeding you. Girl, you are the problem here." Another said, "Financial abuse is real, but this is not it. This is consequences for your own actions." Amber tried to do damage control. She posted an Instagram story saying people did not understand the full situation, that there was more to the story than one comment could explain. But by then, it did not matter. Her credibility was shot. The people who had supported her initially now felt manipulated. Her follower count actually started dropping. I watched all of this unfold from a distance, not engaging with any of it directly. Friends would send me updates. Did you see what people are saying now? Amber deleted her TikTok. Someone made a whole breakdown video about the situation. I appreciated that people were defending me, but honestly, I did not need the vindication. I knew my truth. That was enough. Exactly 1 week after I had canceled the credit card payments, I was sitting in a coffee shop about 3 blocks from my old apartment complex. I'd started going there to work sometimes, just to get out of the apartment that still felt haunted by Amber's presence. I was typing out an email when I heard a commotion outside. I looked up and saw a repo truck pulling into the parking lot of Amber's new apartment complex. Well, not new exactly. She had moved into a studio apartment in a cheaper part of town. I knew this because mutual friends had mentioned it. The complex was older, smaller, definitely a step down from where we had lived together. I watched through the window as the repo driver got out and started hooking up a car, a Honda Civic, Amber's car, the one she had been making payments on, or supposed to have been making payments on. Apparently, without my financial support, she had fallen behind on that too. Amber came running out of the building in sweatpants and a tank-top phone in hand, yelling at the driver. I could not hear what she was saying, but her body language said everything. Angry gestures, pointing at the car, probably arguing that she just needed more time, that she would catch up on payments, that this was a mistake. The driver was unmoved. He showed her paperwork, official documents that proved the car was being repossessed due to non-payment. Amber kept arguing, kept pleading, but there was nothing she could do. The car was hooked up and loaded onto the truck within 10 minutes. That was when she looked across the street and saw me through the coffee shop window. Our eyes met. Hers were red-faced, blotchy from crying. Mine were calm. We stared at each other for what felt like a full minute, but was probably only a few seconds. Then she looked away, turned around, and walked back into her building. The repo truck drove off with her car. I went back to my email. I did not feel happy about what I had just witnessed. I did not feel sad either. I felt something closer to closure. This was the natural consequence of choices she had made. Choices to spend beyond her means. Choices to prioritize appearance over substance. choices to mock the person helping her instead of appreciating him. I had not caused this. I had simply stopped enabling it. 3 months have passed since the breakup. 3 months since I canceled those payments and walked away from a relationship that had been draining me in ways I did not fully realize until it was over. The first few weeks were hard, I will admit that. Not because I missed Amber, though there were moments when the loneliness felt heavy. It was hard because I had to untangle 3 years of my life from hers. Shared friends, shared memories, shared plans that would never come to fruition. But as the weeks turned into months, something shifted. I started reclaiming parts of myself I had given up without even noticing. I renewed my gym membership. That first day back felt amazing. My body was weaker than it had been, but it felt good to move to sweat to focus on my own health again. I started going 4 times a week. The routine helped. I bought new clothes. Not expensive stuff, but clothes that fit properly and made me feel good. I'd been wearing the same worn-out shirts and jeans for so long that I'd forgotten what it felt like to wear something that actually looked nice. I went to Target, bought a whole new wardrobe for under $300, and felt wealthier than I had in years. I took a cooking class. This one was more for fun than necessity, but it turned into one of the best decisions I made. The class was at a community center downtown taught by this retired chef who had the kind of stories that made you want to keep cooking just to hear more. I learned how to make real pasta from scratch, how to properly season a steak, how to balance flavors in a way that made cheap ingredients taste expensive. The class met once a week, and I ended up making friends with a few of the other students. We started having monthly dinner parties, taking turns hosting and showing off whatever new recipe we had mastered. Marcus came around more often, too. We started having game nights again, something we used to do all the time before Amber. He would bring over his console, we would order pizza, and we would play whatever co-op game we were into at the moment. No drama, no tension. Just 2 friends hanging out and enjoying each other's company. One night, after we had finished a particularly frustrating level, Marcus looked over at me and said, "You seem lighter, man. Like yourself again." I knew exactly what he meant. Financially, things improved rapidly. That $500 a month that had been going to Amber's debt, I split it between my retirement account and my emergency fund. I opened a Roth IRA and set up automatic contributions. I started actually building wealth instead of just treading water. My savings account, which had been stuck at around $2,000 for the past year, climbed to over $7,000 within 3 months. For the first time in a long time, I felt secure. Not just financially secure, but secure in general. I even started dating again, though I took it slow. Nothing serious yet. A few coffee dates. One dinner that went well enough to warrant a second date, but fizzled out after that. A woman named Patricia from my cooking class who I went out with twice before we both agreed we were better as friends. I was not in a rush. For the first time in years, I was content being alone. I was learning how to be complete on my own, not just half of a dysfunctional whole. Through mutual friends, I heard updates about Amber. She had moved back to Dallas to live with her parents. Her TikTok account, which had been her entire identity for so long, had stagnated. She had lost about 15,000 followers after the drama, and her videos barely broke 5,000 views anymore. She had deleted both of the controversial videos, the one mocking me and the one playing victim, but the internet does not forget. People had saved them, reposted them, commented on them across multiple platforms. I never checked her profile myself. I had unfollowed her on every platform the day we broke up, and I had no desire to keep tabs on her life. The updates came to me whether I wanted them or not, usually through well-meaning friends who thought I would want to know. I always nodded and changed the subject. Her life was no longer my concern. What I did learn, and what really solidified my belief that I had made the right decision, was that she had started dating someone new already. Some guy she met through the Dallas influencer scene. According to mutual friends, she was already talking about moving in with him, already making plans for their future together. I felt nothing when I heard that. No jealousy, no anger, just a vague sense of pity for whoever this new guy was. I hoped for his sake he had better boundaries than I did. The biggest lesson I learned from all of this is about respect and reciprocity in relationships. I used to think love meant giving everything, sacrificing, endlessly putting your partner's needs above your own. But that is not love. That is martyrdom. Real love requires mutual respect. It requires both people to show up, to contribute, to appreciate what the other person brings to the table. I also learned about boundaries. For years, I let Amber push past every boundary I should have set. Financial boundaries, emotional boundaries, personal boundaries. I convinced myself that setting limits would make me a bad partner, that real love meant unlimited support. But boundaries are not about withholding love. They are about preserving yourself so you have something left to give. You cannot pour from an empty cup. I had emptied mine completely, and when I finally stopped pouring, I realized how drained I had become. Another lesson was about actions versus words. Amber told me she loved me constantly. She talked about our future, about the life we would build together. But her actions told a different story. Her actions showed me I was a resource, not a partner. A safety net, not an equal. When someone shows you who they really are through their behavior, believe them. Do not make excuses. Do not rationalize. Just believe them and act accordingly. I also learned that social media validation is a drug. Amber was addicted to it in a way I did not fully understand until after we broke up. The likes, the comments, the views. They became more important than the actual relationships in her life. She was willing to sacrifice our partnership, my dignity, and her own integrity for 60 seconds of viral attention. That taught me to be wary of people who live their lives primarily for an online audience. There is nothing wrong with creating content or building a following, but when that becomes more important than the real people in your life, something has gone deeply wrong. Looking back now, that TikTok video was not really the betrayal. It was just the moment I finally saw clearly what had been there all along. The disrespect, the entitlement, the fundamental imbalance in how much we valued each other. The video was a symptom, not the disease. And once I saw the disease, I could not unsee it. I do not regret helping Amber initially. My intention was pure. I genuinely wanted to support someone I loved through a difficult financial situation. What I regret is not setting boundaries earlier. I regret not requiring her to actually change her behavior as a condition of my help. I regret ignoring the red flags that were waving frantically in my face for months. But those regrets are learning experiences, not failures. They taught me what to look for, what to avoid, what to require from future relationships. These days, I am genuinely happy. Not the frantic, unstable happiness that comes from a new relationship or a temporary high. The deep, steady happiness that comes from being at peace with yourself and your choices. I wake up in the morning without dread. I go to sleep at night without anxiety. My apartment is quiet and clean and mine. My finances are healthy and growing. My friendships are strong and reciprocal. My future feels open and full of possibility instead of limited and predetermined. If you are reading this and you find yourself in a relationship where you feel taken for granted, where you give and give and give, but never seem to receive the same energy back, I want you to ask yourself something. Am I being appreciated, or am I just being used? Because the answer to that question might save you years of heartache. It might save you from becoming a cautionary tale like I almost did. And if you have ever been the person doing the taking the person benefiting from someone's generosity without showing gratitude, I hope you can hear this. Appreciation is not just about saying thank you. It is about matching someone's effort. It is about respecting their sacrifices. It is about recognizing that when someone goes without so you can have more, that deserves more than just words. It deserves changed behavior. As for Amber and her TikTok fame, well, some people chase clout. Some people prioritize viral moments over genuine connection. Some people learn that likes and views do not keep you warm at night, do not help you through hard times, do not build a life worth living. I chose to chase peace instead. I chose to prioritize my own well-being. I chose to value myself enough to walk away from someone who did not value me. And honestly, I have never slept better. So let me ask you something before I go. Have you ever been in a situation where you sacrificed everything for someone who did not appreciate it? How did you handle it? Drop a comment below and share your story. And if this resonated with you at all, if you have ever felt taken for granted or struggled with setting boundaries, do me a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel because I will be sharing more stories about real-life lessons and hard-won wisdom. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we deserve to be treated with respect. Thank you for listening to my story. I know it was not easy to hear, but I hope it gave you something to think about. I hope it reminded you that your worth is not determined by how much you give to others, but by how much you value yourself. Take care of yourselves out there. Set those boundaries. Demand that respect. And never ever settle for someone who treats your love like it is disposable. Until next time, stay strong.